Hi, Ayushree.
Hello, Helen.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too. A little overwhelmed for the day, but I'm generally fine.
No, thank you so much, for agreeing to do this for us. We are very excited to have you and Vaishali on the show today
Oh, thank
and
you so much.
look forward to a wonderful conversation with both of you. We are at around 6:24 Indian time. We'll just wait
Right.
for a few more minutes. Hi,
Yeah, I just thought
Vaishali.
I'll come early and just get myself prepared.
Yes,
No,
yes, no
it's
worries.
just,
Hello, Vaishali. Good
Hi,
evening.
how are you? Able to hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, we can hear you well. All good.
Okay, okay, okay.
I
Hi,
was just
Vaishali. I'm Helen.
Hi, Helen, how are you?
I'm
So
good.
happy to share the panel with you today.
Same here. I got a bit excited when my common friend told me that, hey, I've just given your contact to Ayushree. And I was going like,
yes.
okay, but I've never done, um, because mine's more of a regional channel sales development role. And it was exciting to see because even though I've done so many things with Indian channels,
Hmm?
and IT business, things are so different. It's literally every day we're coming up with something new. So it's really exciting. I'm just waiting to see what the audience will ask and what you will be sharing as well. It'll be a learning curve for me.
I guess we all are in that space. I think
Yeah.
nowadays
Let
no
me
one
know
can
if
say that
I'm
I know
speaking
all.
fast.
It's a WIP every day.
Yes. And let me know if I'm speaking too fast. I have a tendency to do that way. But I
No, no,
think it
it's
fits in
all
very
good.
well with the Indian culture as well, right?
No, no, I'm sure it's all going to be perfect, Helen. Please don't
Yeah, it
worry.
Excellent.
looks like we decided, but we haven't. All of us are in shades of blue.
Yes, I know, I know. That's such a beautiful
That's
coincidence
a
to
great
even
mind
in
think
the
alike,
show.
right? Yeah.
Yes, I know. Yeah, all of
I
us
had
are
I
just
had just come back from office and I had enough time to shower. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to go look for a jacket. And I had this on, so why not?
no, lovely. We will wait to see what our co-host, and our fourth panelist
Yeah.
Chitra is wearing. To Chitra will join us shortly. She's on a session today until 6:30, so she might
Ah,
be a few
nice.
minutes,
Sure.
this
Got it.
thing to join. But we'll start anyway, at 6:30. A few more
Sure.
minutes, about 2 to 3 minutes, so that we have everyone joining. And please feel free to share the WhatsApp. I had shared with you guys just a last
Oh,
minute
okay.
question. You
I will
guys
do
want
that.
to take some time and
Yeah.
so now they can directly join here and just
Yeah.
share some
I
thoughts.
think earlier in the week when you sent me that
Yes,
registration, I shared it
yes,
on my LinkedIn. I
yes, yes,
think I
yes,
got a lot of colleagues who were asking me, "Oh, are you in
yes.
India?" And I said, "No, it's a web-based thing." And they're going like, "Oh, okay." And then some of them were even surprised I knew Vidphone, and they were asking me, "Huh, how did you get connected to Vidphone?"
No,
So
lovely.
it's
I think that's
bringing
the
some
power
brand
of
awareness for you as well, Ayushri, at
yes.
Vidphone.
And I think that's the power of video, right? I mean, that's what we keep talking at Bitphone because I think, that's what we are here for to
Yeah.
connect wherever you are, And so I'll tell you all also a little bit about Bitphone once we
Nice.
start. And it's lovely to have you both on the platform. Obviously, just another thing. So while we are live on our platform, we are simultaneously going live on all our social media channels. That's
Sure.
LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So please feel the Akil would also share the links on the chat box for those in case somebody wants to check us live there. And
Sure.
so that way our outreach, we are reaching while we are talking, we are reaching out to a lot of people seeing us live on the
Sure.
channel. So
Just a
Sure.
quick question, Ayushri. So,
yeah.
how is the format designed? We speak one after the other, or it's like a
So
natural discussion flow, or how is it?
yeah. So Vaishali, for this one, since we have 30 minutes, and we want to keep it very targeted. So basically, I would just introduce a little bit about the show, why we are doing this with phone, and a little bit both of you. I'll just do a brief introduction, and then
Sure.
one by one, I'll start with Helen, and then move over to you. Generally, we Chitra and I divide the questions between us.
Sure.
and we'll wait for we'll start, and as Chitra comes by, she would take it too. So, but it's not like, I'll start with Helen's questions first and then move over to you. But if
Fair.
you have to add something in, after what Helen is saying, or in your answers, Helen wants to add
Sure.
something, please feel free to. We would love to have your thoughts also.
Sure.
So that's
Happy to do that.
completely
Perfect.
okay. Yes, I think we'll just start in about 2 minutes, and yes, then just looking forward to everyone
I
to
watched
join.
your previous sessions as well. They were
Thank
so edifying,
Yeah,
and
I
it was
also
just
watched.
continuously going on. I said, "Oh, we're past the time," but it's really. I think when
I
you
know
have so much to say,
exactly,
and so
yeah.
much
So
to
what
share,
we
you
have,
don't want to stop.
yes, so that always happens. We say 30 minutes, but I think there's a little bit, 5-10 minutes up and down, and generally it's
Yeah,
always up. I
Ayushree, my
down.
name is not
But we
figuring
just
out. Like
want,
yours and Helen's is there. Mine doesn't seem to be showing up.
Oh, same for
no,
me.
we
I
can
don't
see
see
your
my
name.
name.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't see my own
Oh,
name.
but
Yeah.
I can see all your names.
All right. So
Yeah, I
maybe
think
I
it
can't
just
see, but
this
you
thing, but
can.
we can see your name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we can see your names well. So I'm sure the audience, that's no issue.
Sure.
All the best to all
Yes.
of us.
Yes. So Akhil has also shared.
Thank you for
Thank
and
you. Thanks.
just yeah.
Yes. So Akhil has also shared the links of YouTube and this thing. We'll just wait a minute more in case, Chitra joins us, and then we'll just start.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think we'll just start, and because we have a good 30 minutes, and I don't want to miss any minute, missing hearing from you guys. We have a lot to share today. So we'll start. So a very good evening to everyone who has joined us today, and thank you so much, Helen and Vaishali, for joining us. I mean, I'm really excited that we are doing this. This is the fourth season of, a fourth series of our Women in Sales show. And today we are going to talk a lot about consultative sales, channel sales, and also a little bit on go-to-market sales. So, today's topic is focused on that. Once again, for everyone, who has joined us for the first time, why we are doing this Women in Sales series. And it's in collaboration with SalesWomentoring, which is led by Chitra Singh. And Chitra would join us shortly too. Why we thought, a Women in Sales series is important is because we feel there's still less representation of women, in sales. And sales is such a beautiful field, and this is, to get people like you, experts like you in sales, we feel your stories would really inspire others to join this field too. And Chitra has obviously built a beautiful community, which is nurturing sales professionals, and in all ways. And we at Vidphone, we have built a platform which we called a hybrid work suite, to help professionals, to help startups, SMEs, and individuals to actually grow their business in their customer generation, and in their employee engagement activities. So it's an end-to-end platform, all based on video communications. So for us also, we opening up the platform for you all to come and speak today, to share your stories your way, is the real idea behind this show. So once again, thank you, Vaishali and Helen, and thank you to all our viewers who have joined us here and who are viewing us live. I would just do a little introduction. Both of you have a lot. Hey, Chitra, perfect time to come in. I was just, on why are we doing this topic, and was just going ahead to do an introduction for Helen and Vaishali. And so I'll just, so we have Chitra Singh, and like I was telling, we have collaborated, and she's my co-host on this show. Collaborated with Sales Women, and Chitra is the founder and community. So I'll over to you. I'll just briefly introduce Helen and Vaishali. They both have a lot of things to their designations. So I would read it out so that I don't make any mistake. So Helen is the Senior Director, Partner Go-to-Market, Software Partner Solutions, SAP. Vaishali is the Sales Facilitator, Consulting Partner at Rain Group. And I'm sure both of you are expert, seasoned sales professional. Helen's, I think, expertise is mainly in channel sales and go-to-market, while Vaishali is more into consultative sales. So we look forward to hearing from each of you more on those lines. Chitra, before we move ahead and I move ahead with my questions, please over to you, to say a few words.
Yeah, thank you so much, Helen and Vaishali. Great to see you here, and I'm really very excited to be taking this discussion forward. And coincidentally, I was in a session on time management, and I only slipped and became 2 minutes late in that session. But nevertheless, pleasure to join you all. Let me briefly introduce SalesWomentoring, which is the community of which I'm the founder. It is India's first and only community inspiring women to succeed at selling. The purpose of Sales Mentoring is to provide an ecosystem to enable 1 million women to sell with confidence through our three pillars of mentoring, experiential learning through workshops and boot camps, and networking for success. Where Shali is also a mentor with us, and she's been really adding a lot of value there, which is why I decided to add her here for this Vidphone show, and where she'll be sharing her expertise on
Yeah.
consultative selling. And tomorrow again, there is a workshop. Day after, there is a workshop which she will be taking for the community on again on the same topic. And that is why this is like a teaser or a precursor to that. A little bit about myself. I've spent over 3 decades in banking sales, and that's where I realized that there are very few women in sales, and even fewer, that is less than 13% in sales leadership positions. And that's one of the problems this community sales mentoring is attempting to address, getting more women into sales, retaining them so that they achieve, and supporting them so that they achieve leadership positions. And lastly, also supporting entrepreneurs, small business owners, and solopreneurs on their journey towards scaling their businesses. Because often, as business owners, also women hesitate to take charge of selling and promote their brands upfront. And that's where we come in again as a supportive and encouraging ecosystem. So, welcome you all once again, and we will straight away dive into the questions. We are already at 6 minutes past 6:30. So, Ayushree, would you like
Yes,
to start
yes.
first with
No,
Helen, and then
yes,
Thanks, Chitra.
yes. Yes, I would. Thanks, Chitra. Thanks, Chitra, for that. And I would start with Helen, and Helen, Helen leads Helen takes care of SAP, Asia Pacific, and Japan. So I'm sure Helen has got a lot of experience. She comes with a lot of experience, and she has a lot to share with us today. So Helen, my first question to you would be, if you could tell us a few strategies about, say, 3 to 4 strategies that you have found most effective in building and nurturing channel sales partnerships. Example, as first step, how can we choose a right channel? What is the first step that we should look while choosing a channel partner? And then any example of how you have done it in the past that you want to share.
Thank you, Ashri, and to all the audience. Welcome to the show. I am glad to be here, and I would like to address something that Chitra said about women not taking a little bit of more of leadership to say, I want to be in sales. When I first joined the channel organization, and this is years ago, there was hardly any women who did channel development or channel business sales. It was always men. And the very few that you find, and especially right across regionally, you find in some countries there are 1 or 2 women who raise their voice, they lead and they do a lot of channel related engagement. But today it's different. Some of the best channel sales women out there, and you'll be amazed at many things that they're doing, not just for their own products, but they also build other communities of channel businesses. And as you know, right, companies are always looking for ways to scale business and generate more sales. That's why the whole channel business is here. And in my experience, and in the way of building more effective and nurturing channel sales partnership, one of the key things I've seen is improving customer experience. The daily need for having the highest net promoter score, for example, in any company, that's really key. So effective channel strategy is really, really important. And if companies do not have that, and they just want to go out there, become a reseller, we want to create an IP and put that on someone else's technology and brand it, if you do not have the right strategy and make it as effective as possible, you will never scale, right? The knowledge that customers bring today to the table, we used to say this statement, right? Customer is king. But today, customers are more knowledgeable. They're not just the royal blood king anymore, they're the knowledge based community. So they interact and in different ways, with the advent of internet and all the social media, they know much more than even before you go to approach them. So knowledge has really become the key thing. So if you want to be effective in this right channel sales partnership, you need to be as knowledgeable or better knowledged, and keeping yourself every day improving is just like as we said earlier when we were chit chatting, work in progress is daily mantra, right? So we want to make sure that as consumers experience increases, having the right product, having the right ability to give the right solution or services to your consumers is really, really key. Another thing I've seen is a lot of companies want to quickly expand into new markets. If you look at these, right, today the channels business has totally evolved. It's not anymore the old sales type, old channel type of business. Yes, relationships are important, but channels to integrate to a whole new way of expanding has become the evolving thing. And expanding into new markets has become like, at the tip of your fingers, right? You use a quick social media push and then you are reaching a wider audience. It's a new way of selling. And of course, there are a lot of customers looking for cost effective services and solutions. So if we really take a step back and think about it, right? How are we going to be inventing new things, right? Like we want to help our customers to have quick time to market. We want to have reduced production costs, and then we want to make that effective. Having a right channel strategy is, I believe, the most important thing. And when I'm speaking to my channel partners, I always review them on 5 key areas, 5 or 6 key areas. But the top five will always for me be: you have enough capital, and you have enough coverage, and then you need to have the capacity and capability to move on. And now, especially with the sustainability concepts coming in, do you have enough continuity plans to stay on, right? You want to sustain a business. So I think giving all these examples of the yesteryears and what's coming in the future, right? If you want to reach a larger target audience, and it doesn't matter if you are doing a product sale or you're in the retail space, reaching a larger target audience, right? Potentially, you need to make sure that you are acquiring these customers to keep them for life, right? And then so your customer service, your expansion of bringing not just yourself and your organization to new markets, but bringing along your customers too, because customers create customers, right? So I want to pause at that and say that, having a very, very in-depth strategy, keeping it into a continuity, and then addressing the needs of customers, which is really, really key, is what would make you and your organization a better channel partner that vendors and other larger MNCs or even customers want to choose. If I want to choose a solution or a service company, I look for the experience the company has had and what the net promoter score ratings are. I don't simply go and just say that, hey, I'm going to buy this product. We all read ratings these days, right? So I'll pause at that and hear if there are any comments from the listeners. Happy to
Yes,
take
just
that.
one thing, Helen. Thank you so much for sharing. And just I think your video, is a little stuck in between. We can hear you very clearly.
Mhm.
So maybe, yeah, we can hear you now, but in between, your video. So maybe it's because of the virtual background. If you can just, there might be some problem because of that. So
Okay, sure.
just
I'll try
remove.
to change
You
that.
can use the blur if you want, but just so that there's no problem there.
Sure.
That's okay. Yeah. No, but thanks a lot, Helen. I think there was some very key points there, and you beautifully summed up the last five things that you specifically said, and I'm sure the audience would have a lot to take away from there. Vaishali, Chitra, any comments? Anything you guys want to add before I
Yeah,
move on?
she's right about channel being one of the most uh, important aspects of selling now. I read somewhere Forrester research that 75% of selling is now happening through channels. Because obviously, if companies want to expand and get into newer and newer markets where they may not have the expertise or the knowledge of that local market, then the channel partners or the solution partners are the ones who are invaluable in your GTM strategy and in your strategy to enter new markets. That's one of the biggest things they bring. And especially if a channel partner is sufficiently well known and credible in that particular market, it adds to your brand rather than detract from it. And I will leave it to Helen to talk further about how they can actually be aligned with your company and brand. But it is impossible, it's possible that you find partners who are aligned and who work to enhance your brand rather than take away from it. That's the fear of many people when they get into working with partners or value added resellers, that probably our reputation or our credibility in the market may be damaged. Maybe our process will not be consistent, and maybe our values and our messaging is not communicated impactfully to the end customer. But with the right partner and with the right teams leading and handling these channels, I think it can be a very effective strategy in reaching out to newer customers, newer geographies, and newer markets. So, Vaishali has anything to add here?
Yeah,
Please do so.
I,
Please go ahead.
Sure. So I think, Helen, you are very right in terms of talking about today's customer, who's much more aware and who's done all the research, unlike the customer of earlier times, who was waiting for the seller to come and tell about the product, give the different options. So today's customers wait for sellers to help them decide. They have all the choices, but they want you to understand him and help him decide. And that's where I think for a company, channel becomes the most important customer, because if the company is able to manage the channel well, the channel is going to manage the customers well. So I guess
Absolutely.
that's the change which has happened in these days.
Yeah, and I mean, just to add one more thing to it, right? Today, the channel business has become so volatile in the advent of internet, right? A lot of things can also be channel business by through the net, right? So, if in the past, let's say you take a telco company, they want to appoint many resellers and distributors. They literally will look for three key things, right? Are you in the right place? Is this a necessary area to cover with selling SIM cards, or even doing a little bit of venture capitalism type of concepts? Today they don't need to do that. Telcos just put it on their net and people go and download, and the reseller concept totally has become something different.
Yeah.
And the shopping experience, that's why I spoke about customer experience is so key today. The shopping experience has also become different. So being a channel partner, you need to consider all these new things that has advent over a period of not just pandemic, but over a period of time. So look through it, and if you are actually, I mean, giving that I come from a larger MNC, as part of our due diligence, we tend to look for companies that have the right fitment. When I say fitment, are they really meeting a gap that we are looking for? Whether you are addressing something that no one else is doing, or someone is doing but not in a way that it could have made things better for the consumers. So that's what we look for. It's not having a big cake and a bigger pie share. It's about having the right pie share with the right cake as well, right? That's the concept we are
Sure.
going into. So I wanted to mention one more thing. The globalization, I think this is something that's a repeatable thing, and it's not any different in terms of concept, right? When we say globalization, a lot of representation of global processes maybe becomes localized so that you can actually better manage, right? It's think global, act local, however you may term it. But this is what we're doing. We're looking at concepts that will help the reseller, customers, to become different in their own ways through that localization concept.
Yes. No, great notes there, Helen. And I think also, between what you, Vaishali, and Chitra shared, I also think channel partnerships nowadays, a lot of even, obviously you, come from a background of a bigger MNC, but even for startups and, SMEs, channel partnerships ensure a lot of collaborations. That way you can really collaborate and work together, which is again the way to go forward, right? I mean, that's one of collaborations we all know is a really important part of all our business today. So Helen, my next question would be, what are some of the upcoming trends and changes that channel sales professionals in today's world should be prepared for? What are some changes that you are seeing in the industry, and what do you think that existing or upcoming sales professionals who mainly deal with channel sales should look forward to? Any notes on those?
I will comment on shift from being a sales only person. That means you're not just selling now, right? You're selling to serving, right?
Yeah.
A lot of sales oriented people today have become consultants to their customers. And how did this trend come about? Because customers research solutions for themselves by themselves, and they trust these, what I was saying earlier, the ratings, right? So if someone has bought it, someone has got best experience, the use cases become relevant, they expect the same thing from you as a salesperson selling your product, right? So be a shifter, right? Like, a paradigm shift that maybe personally you need to make, or professionally, but in the notation that you will become someone that becomes a business consultant to the organization. And a lot of salespeople, I think this is a trend, but they tend to stay short term. Short term because they've done something for the 2 years, collected their commission, and then they need to move on. But if you become a consultative salesperson, you actually move up not just the ladder in the organization, but you also become, if your customer, if they shift to another customer's environment, they will still look for you. Why? Because of the relationship you have built, and why a difference that you have probably brought in, increasing your support for them. So this is the evolving channel, people, that we are starting to see. A lot of people are complementing, what I would say, a shift from being sales to a service based, complementing a whole ecosystem of sales way of thinking. The other thing that I wanted to also add is, whether you are moving into a more professional level of sales cycle in the organization, or even if your customer, or if you are the channel sales type, you're probably managing a string of distributors and resellers, right? What are you looking for? So always be prepared for any form of disruption. The current state of our lives, our businesses, even our industry is a disruptive industry, right? It's a bit like, etch a sketch, in that every time a clear picture starts to take hold, and someone else will become a mover and a shaker and shake it up and leave another blank slate. What do you do? So, my encouragement to most folks is, while the year is bullishing, be prepared to also have disruptions in any form, anything but certain. Take a look and find suggestions to how to respond back to such an assortment of disruptions. I think if you're ready for all of these, you will, swing by, and you will have a lot of conversations brought into value added selling. That's how I would put it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thanks, Helen. And you spoke about. I think you spoke about channel sales, but then you also spoke about the nature of consultative sales here. And obviously, our next topic, Vaishali, is going to speak about that only. So, Chitra, I think Helen made some great notes there. Anything you want to add before we move on to the questions for Vaishali on consultative sales?
Nothing much I want to add, just that I completely agree. And be a shifter, be a disruptor, shift the paradigm. These are really powerful words.
Yes.
It is going to remain in my memory, and I'm not going to remove it. It's going to remain. Yeah,
Yes.
it's going
I
to remain in my
purposely said
memory.
consultative
Yeah,
selling so that it can lead on to
Lead on,
actually
yes.
empowering
absolutely.
That's
Vaishali with
brilliant.
Absolutely. So
Yes.
let's seamlessly kind of smoothly work on the next part of our conversation, which is
Conversation,
with
yes.
Vaishali on consultative selling.
Yeah,
Thank you for that opening, Helen.
yeah.
thank you.
To Vaishali, you obviously an expert on consultative selling, and we've been talking about selling becoming more consultative and moving from the traditional mode. So, what are the differences, and do you think obviously the success rate in consultative selling is more? Why so? And can you give any examples from either your work experience or recent past where you've used it and it's been really successful, it's worked for you?
Yeah.
Sure. Firstly, thanks a ton, Ayushree and Chitra and Helen, for having me here, and also the viewers. I guess consultative selling has become even more important today. We just spoke with Helen on the nature of the consumer and the buyer, that has changed. So, in traditional selling, which we generally call as transactional selling or fab selling, which is features and benefits selling, the focus is entirely on the product or service that you are selling. Whereas in consultative selling, the focus is entirely on the prospect or the buyer to whom you are selling. So that's the basic essential difference. And when this lens shifts, like when you start looking at things from the buyer's perspective, the whole conversation changes, the whole content of the conversation changes, the chronology changes. Secondly, in traditional sales, the buyer knows, like, it begins with a need.